Vision is a gift that many of us take for granted. Pictured below is a normal scene with perfect eyesight and clarity. Now pictured is a scene with fuzzy, dark, and blurry central vision. This is what it looks like to have macular degeneration. So what is macular degeneration? Macular degeneration, also known as age-related macular degeneration, or the Stargardt disease, is a harmful eye disorder in which one's central vision is progressively lost. This is due to the damage in an area of the retina called the macula. The symptoms of this disease get worse over several years. A brief history. This disorder was discovered by German ophthalmologist Carl Stargardt. First reported a case in 1901, and since then, many people have been diagnosed and studies have developed further to identify the causes and treatments. There are two types of macular degeneration, dry and wet. In front of you, I have a quick comparison between the two. The dry version of this disorder is more common, and it occurs in 80% of people with this condition. Photoreceptors in the macular area of the retina deteriorate, and this is caused by the age-related damage of a support membrane under the retina. For the wet version of this disorder, this is less common, occurring in 10 to 20% of people with this condition, and in this case, a subretinal hemorrhage develops. This is when abnormal blood vessels grow under the retina and can bleed fluid into the retina. Because of this, there is a red, purple, and brown discoloration in the retina. The area that is affected behind the retina is called the choroidal layer. This is why wet macular degeneration is also called choroidal neovascularization, or CNV. Now pictured is an image of a retina with a condition of wet macular degeneration. You can see the blood vessels and the discoloration caused by this condition. Because macular degeneration is a progressive disease, the symptoms of it get worse over time. In the early stages of this condition, it is asymptomatic, meaning there are no symptoms that the patient experiences at this time. However, in the retina, there are medium-sized to small-sized drusen deposits, which are tiny yellow or white accumulations of extracellular material that build up between the membrane and the retinal pigment of the eye. There is also no vision loss at this time yet. The next stage is called the intermediate stage, and only 15% of those with small drusen deposits progress to this stage. In this stage, the patient has large drusen deposits within the retina. Some begin to see black spots and perceive a darker central vision. There is also visible retinal pigment changes. The vision loss and retinal pigment changes are occurring because the large drusen deposits are starting to interfere with the function of the macular area of the retina. The last and final stage of macular degeneration is called the late stage, and this is where the patient experiences complete vision loss in the central area and significant retinal pigment changes. In this stage, geographic atrophy of the macula develops. This is the complete wasting away of this part of the retina because of the large drusen deposits that are interfering with its functions. This is why they lose completely their central field of view. Subretinal hemorrhages can occur due to the abnormal blood vessels growing between the membrane, and this is how wet AMD develops. So what gene mutations are causing this condition of macular degeneration? Macular degeneration is caused by a mutation in the ABCA4 gene. and less commonly in the EVOLV4 gene, which both code specifically for proteins found in the photoreceptor cells of the retina. The function of an ABCA4 protein is to transport toxic materials out of the cell. When this cell is mutated, it can prevent this protein from performing this function, leading to the buildup of drusen, which will eventually lead to cell atrophy. This mutation is an autosomal recessive condition, meaning both parents must carry one mutated copy. There is a 25% chance of this child inheriting this condition. The function of an EOVL4 protein is to create a group of very long fatty acid chains. Mutations in this gene can lead to the buildup of EOVL4 protein clusters that can interfere with the functions of the retina and eventually cell death through atrophy. These mutations follow a different inheritance pattern, an autosomal dominant pattern, meaning that only one parent, must carry the mutation for the child to receive it. And in this case, there's a 50% chance of the child inheriting this condition. Now that you have the information about this disease, how can you diagnose yourself to test if you have it? One quick way to self-diagnose yourself is by using a test called the Amsler grid. Cover one eye and focus your gaze on the black dot. If the lines appear distorted or wavy, then you have this condition. If they appear straight, then you have normal eyesight. There are also a few more other professional diagnosis methods that are performed by ophthalmologists or optometrists. This includes genetic testing, optical coherence tomography, and fluorescein angiography. Genetic testing can be performed in a lab to detect the gene ABCA4, EVOLV4 that are involved with the macular degeneration symptoms. Another method of diagnosis is optical coherence tomography, and this is where a doctor photographs a cross-section of the retina and choroid layer using infrared light rays to provide information about drusen, retinal structure, and hemorrhaging. The final method of diagnosis is fluorescein angiography, and this is the injection of colored dye to detect abnormal blood vessels and retinal changes. So how can we find a solution to the symptoms associated with this condition? One professional form of treatment is anti-angiogenic drugs. These are injected into the eye, which stop blood vessels from forming and blocking off the leakage that causes wet AMD. Another form of treatment is laser therapy, and this is where high-energy, concentrated laser beams are focused onto the eye to destroy the abnormal blood cells or activate a medication that blocks blood cells. The final form of treatment is corrective lenses. These are in the form of contact lenses or eyeglasses. This can improve a patient's vision by using an artificial lens prescribed to the patient's specifications. Prevalence. What populations are being most affected by this condition? In the US, there is 1.7 million cases of macular degeneration and 200,000 new cases per year. This means it is the leading cause of blindness and vision loss. Caucasian and Asian demographic are most at risk to develop this disease, and elderly people above the age of 60 suffer from the worst symptoms. So what is it like to have macular degeneration? While there are no external cosmetic disfigurations that are caused by this disease, you suffer from a significant loss of vision. Because of this, I think that this disorder is very detrimental to one's capabilities in life. Because of your complete loss of central vision, you are unable to perform your daily tasks such as reading, driving, or doing work. This can be very detrimental, and it is crucial that you seek assistance if you have this condition. Well, I thank you for watching my video, and I hope you learned something new or spread awareness for this condition.